Okay, so here's another repair that I actually did. When I did the brakes here, I redid the axle seals inside. That job was a pain in the butt. First time I'd ever done that, and it actually took me 3 tries before I got one of them right, and then I was able to get both of them to seal up. So replacing the seals on both sides, I went through 5 seal kits before I got it right, and was able to get both of them to seal. So yeah, that was a big job. If you decide to do that, make sure you go to a site like Samba, or get yourself a really good, very detailed explanation of how to do that, because that is a big job, and if you don't do it absolutely perfectly, they will leak. So you've got to be, spot on, follow the steps, follow, everything 100% to the T. Okay, so we'll look in here. One of the very first things I did actually was to replace the starter motor. And when I first got it, I got a battery, hooked it up, and just nothing out of the starter. It would do the little kunk, and that was it. But I had been able to turn the crank, so I knew the motor wasn't seized, so I knew it was something else. So put a new starter motor in there, and then it cranked, but then found out it wasn't getting fuel. So I went through and had to replace all the, redo all the fuel lines, get fuel delivery, all set up and dialed in. And that's kind of where we're at now, is working on getting all the fuel delivery set up and dialed in. So let's see here. That's where this comes in. So this is a fuel pressure regulator, and as you see, you've got your supply line over here coming from the tank. Then it splits off into 2. Well, it splits off into 3. There's 3 lines here. One is the a vacuum pressure or vacuum tube that actually controls the fuel regulator, and this is plumbed into the turbo intake system. So when this gets pressurized under boost, it allows more fuel to flow. So you get a rush of fuel into the carburetors, so you don't get detonation. Detonation is, a huge problem on these turbo motors, because what happens is you get a bunch of boost built up, then you don't get fuel supply to match the air going into the engine. So it fires, but there's not enough fuel in there to fully combust and push the cylinder all the way down. So it comes down here, and then it tries to fire the next one as it's like slow, right? So what ends up happening is the piston comes up and fires just before the top of its stroke. So then what happens is, instead of coming up and then on the way back down it comes up and fires, here before it's all the way to the top, and then it just explodes the engine basically. Yeah, so that's a real danger. That's why you've got to have these fuel pressure regulators. So there's one, I guess it's a boost line, not a vacuum line, and then there's one supply line going to each carb. So I'm going to pull those back out of the firewall, so I can get that louvered tin off, and then make the hole big enough for those bulkheads. So that's where I'm at on that one.